Hi, this is Katrina Cross from Woodrow Handcrafts. Welcome to today's tutorial on Digitizer version 5. And in this tutorial we're going to be working with one of the built-in artworks that come with this software. So first of all, we've opened up the Digitizer program, and now we're going to go in and we're going to bring in our artwork. So we come up here to our artwork icon and click on it, and we want to bring in the Doodle tree. Okay, so now we've got it up on our screen. The next step is we want to go in and change our hoop size. So for this tutorial, we're working with the Janome Memory Craft 15,000, and we're going to be using the SQ size 23 hoop. So we come up here and we change our hoop size, and we've got our image all ready to go. To start digitizing, we're going to come over here to our icons on the left hand side of our toolbar, and you'll see the digitize one. So we're going to click on that one and open it up. So these are all the different aspects of the design that you can create. To start with, we're going to be using digitize open line. So this is going to create just a single run line for us. So we've come over here, we checked at our object properties, we've got single run line selected, and we're going to come down to our color chart and we're going to change it to blue. So the next step is we're going to scroll in so we're nice and close, and we're going to use our left and our right clicks on our mouse. So we're going to start with our left click, and then we're going to right click around, and as you right click around you'll see that it creates a curve. So when we get to the base here, we're going to left click again, and then we're going to come all the way down with our left clicks to keep our line straight. Once we get to the base, we're going to go back up again. So we go all the way back up and follow that line. Back up. So what we're doing is we're actually creating a double stitch. So this part of our tree will actually be slightly thicker than the tree branch because it's a double stitch, not the single one. So when we get to this part here where it's skewed off to the branch beforehand, we're actually going to keep moving ahead and follow this one all the way up. And then we're going to right click around to create that curve again, all the way out to the end of the branch. And then left click. And that's where we're going to stop there. So to stop that part, we press enter on our keyboard, and then that turns it into stitches. So if we zoom out here, and if we press D on our keyboard, that will hide our image from behind, and then you can see your stitches that you've created. So you can see here now you've got a real fine line coming through here, but down this branch here, it's that double stitch that we've created. So we're going to go back on and turn our stitches on. So that's D on our keyboard again, and they'll bring our image back up. So this time we're going to start all the way up here. Because we worked on the digitize run line previously, you'll see over here in your toolbar that it's already highlighted blue. So what that means is that you've already got it selected again. So see how both of those are blue there on the screen. If you didn't have them selected, then they wouldn't be highlighted. So because it's highlighted, we don't need to go back and click on them again. So we can just start digitizing our line. So we start with our left click and then move around that curve with our right click all the way down to that V, like so. And then we're going to follow this bit down here and stop there and enter. So what that's done is that's then created this bit up here into a double stitch and left these forks out here in a single stitch. So now we're going to move on to this little one in the middle. So we've got our single digitized open line selected with our single line again. So we're just going to zoom in and create our stitches all the way down to the base. And stop. And enter. Okay, so now for the final branch here, what we're going to do is we're going to start up here on the top. We're going to follow the line all the way down to the base here, back up again, and out to that second branch. So we zoom in, left click, right click, right click, left click, because we want that to stop there. We want our curve to stop because that's going to be a point from when we fork off into the next part. So we're going to curve that one around again, all the way down to the base. Once we get down to the base, we're going to left click and then we're going to right click and follow our line back up again. So you can always zoom in as close as you like and follow it all the way back up to that fork again. So I wasn't quite happy with that one, so I just backspaced it to get rid of it and brought that one in closer to the line. Okay, so curve up here, almost to the fork again. So working with this program, I like to get in nice and close. So you'll find that I always have my image zoomed in quite large. So we come up here and then we're going to follow that bottom curve around to the end and enter. So if we turn our image off again, you'll see that we've got our tree stems completed. So we're going to turn our image back on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to start filling in these little designs here with stitches. So we're going to zoom right in here, but this time we're going to select Digitize Closed Shape. So we're going to click on that one. We want to come up to the top toolbar here and make sure that we've got a fill selected, not an outline. And we're just going to use our standard stitch. Okay, and lastly we want to change the color. So we come down here and we're going to change it to number 6, which is a pink. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create this outline of the heart. And you can see here that there's a hole in the middle. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this outline around, fill the heart with stitches, and then we're going to come back and cut that hole out. So we're just going to start here. We're just going to cut across here, because it doesn't really matter, because we'll come back over that with our green. And we're just going to follow our outline around our heart. When we get to this point here, we're going to left click to stop that curve, and then we're going to keep creating the curve out and around the heart again using the right click of our mouse until we get back to where we started. So once we get back to where we started, we hit enter on our keyboard, and that creates our heart. So you can see here that all our we've now got stitches on our heart, like so. So the next step is we're going to cut the hole out of that heart, but we can't see it now with all our stitches over the top. So what we need to do is we need to go through and we need to turn our stitches off. So we're going to click on that one in our resequencing tool over on the right hand side, because that's the one that we want to edit. Okay. We're going to come up here where it says show design, and we're going to click on that and turn our stitches off. So you can see that there's still a pink outline around the heart, but you can't actually see the stitches that fill in. So now what we're going to do is we're going to create this hole here in the heart. So we're going to come up and we're going to open up Edit Objects. Sorry, we're going to digitize. Digitize hole. There we go. So you can see now that once we've clicked on our digitize hole, these little nodes have come up around. So we know that we're ready to go in and edit that hole. So what we're going to do is we're going to come in and we're going to actually edit around the outside here. So we're going to start about here, and we're just going to curve around like so until we're back to the beginning. Once we do that, because we're only creating one hole in our heart, we need to press enter on our keyboard twice. So you go 1, 2, and then that will cut the hole. So you can see over here on the resequencing toolbar that now that stitch has a little hole in it. Okay, so if we come back up and turn our stitches back on, you can see that we've got our hole. Okay. So the next step is we need to locate where our last stitch falls on this little heart that we've created. So if we click on it in our resequencing tool over here on the right hand side, and then we come up here where it says select, you can see there's a reshaping tool. If you click on that, you can then see where The diamond down the bottom here in green is where our stitches start, and the heart up here indicates where our last stitch falls. This line here on the angle indicates your angle of your stitches. So if you move that, so you can move it to a 0 angle, so that means now that the stitches will run across the pattern, like so. If you moved it up to a 90-degree angle, and now run the other way. Okay, so we're going to bring that back around here. There we go. Okay, so this is our little node area that we need to take note of, because that's where we're going to start our next set of stitches. Okay, so we sort of know that it's sitting about there, so if we start around here, we'll be pretty right with it. So we go select, click on here, so we have nothing now selected in our resequencing. To create our satin outline, we're going to use digitize block. In our object properties, we're going to change it to a satin, and we're going to turn our stitches off again so we can see that outline. So we've got all that selected. So remember, our final stitch started about here, so that's where we're going to start again. So what we're actually doing is we're telling the program that when we stitch it out, we want the machine to go through and stitch out all the base of the heart and then automatically start on the outline. So what you're doing is you're removing any unnecessary jump stitches from your design. So we're going to start here on this line, and you go one above and one below, and just follow that curve around the outside of your heart. So the reason that we're using the digitize blocks tool is that line there indicates the angle that the stitch forms. So as it works around the heart, it will continuously stitch a nice clean satin stitch. And we just work our way around. So the outside there, you can see, if I zoom in here, you can see that pink line, and that indicates where the stitches of that base of the heart lie. So it gives you an idea that the satin outline that we're creating will fall over the edge, and you won't have any base sticking out around the outside, and it'll have a nice clean satin border. So there, as we move around in that curve, can you see how I'm moving that line as well? This one through here, whereas up here it was more straight across your screen. Now we're coming around on an angle, so that means that that satin stitch will come around on that angle as well, and it'll just give you a really nice finish. So we're going to keep working around until we get down to the bottom part of the heart here. Okay, so when we get down here, we want to create these stitches to come in this way, so it's going to stitch, stitch, stitch down here, and then break off and stitch up that way. So what we do is we come down here, I'm going to come like that. Okay, so see how that's gone a bit wonky? So we're just going to backspace here. Come around with our left click as opposed to our right click. Come down to that point. Go back up to that last node. Come around to this point, back to that last node, and then we can start out again on this side. And we're just going to follow that all the way up here. So remember we said that we're not going to worry about that because all that will be covered by our green flower. And we're just going to follow it up around. So as we come up around that curve, we're going to change that angle again, like so. Okay, so now what we do is we're going to come down here, we're going to continue around here and then back up over the top of that stitch. Like so. So don't forget to work with that angle again. Around that bottom curve. And now we come up over the top of that stitch again, like so, all the way back to the beginning. Once you get back to the beginning, we hit enter. We come up and turn our stitches on. Like so. So that now gives us that curved satin outline around our heart. So the next one in pink we're going to create is our flower down the bottom here. And what we're going to do is we're going to work around in our color sequence. So we're going to complete all our different aspects of our pink and then move on to our next color. So that will help eliminate any unnecessary color changes in your stitching. Okay, so we're going to come back to our digitize close shape. Check that we've got the fill selected. Check that we've got the tatami selected. And check that we've got pink selected. So we've got it down here. See, color pink. So we're going to create that outline again around our little flower. Just following that outline around like we did the first time. Not worrying about our holes. We're going to come back and cut those holes once we've finished this part. Not worry about going over that stem because that's going to create dimension in our design, giving it different layers between the different colours. So when we get back to the beginning, we get enter, and we've created our stitches again. So now we're going to come over here in our resequencing tool, and we're going to click on the stitches that we've just created, turn our stitches off, select digitize whole. So remember how we were talking about before that we created the holes and we had to hit enter twice? That was because we only wanted to create one hole. So what we do is we create our first hole, we hit enter once, and then that locks that in position. We then can now come down and create our second hole. And enter again. Our third hole. And enter. And then our fourth and final hole. So when we get back to the beginning here, because this is the final hole, we need to press enter twice. And then that will create all those 4 holes. So you can see over here, we've got our holes created. So we're going to turn our stitches back on, and you can see. Okay, so we're going to go through now, we're going to reshape, find out, so we can see here our stitch ends down here, so that gives us an indication of where we need to start. So we're going to click off that one, turn our stitches back off, digitize block, check that we've got a satin selected, check that we've got it in pink, and off we go again. So we just work around the outside border of this flower, sorry. So we're going to keep working around that corner. We're going to curve up and around our hole again. So just on that inside there. So see where that stitch ends there? We're just going to come inside of that so it overlaps. We're going to work that angle around again. So we're going to create that curve with those stitches and continue working around. And work up here and continue around to that next hole for that overlap. And keep working around. Following our outline. So we're going to curve around here again and create that outline around the hole. Follow that curve around. So it creates that nice clean satin line. Like so. And back out. And over the top, so it creates that nice overlapping effect through there. And we're going to follow that around to bring that around like that, so it keeps that curve up on that satin stitch. Like so. And then keep working around. So the reason I use the digitize blocks in a satin to create the satin outline as opposed to a satin line is that you can actually get this turning curve with the satin stitch. If you just use the satin line, when you come to say like a 90-degree angle, your stitch will continue running, say at 0 degrees if you've got it coming up to your corner, and then you continue around the corner. You can't change that angle. It will. So when it comes around to the other side, the stitch actually falls out and makes it really long and loopy. Whereas if you use your digitized blocks with a satin stitch, it will give you that nice clean curve around the border. So we're just going to continue around this hole. remembering to overlap that edge of the stitch and work it back around. So nearly there. So when we get back to that beginning again, we press enter. We're going to go through and turn our stitches back on, and we're going to zoom out. So the next step is we're going to create these little patterns here and that one using our straight line. So we go digitize open line, and this time we're going to change it to a triple run. Now to create our circle here, we could easily go click, 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 click all the way around, or we can click up the top using the left side of the mouse, come down here to about a quarter, click right, click right, click right, and click left, and that will create our circle. So go enter. Repeat that process up here on the larger circle. Back to the beginning and enter. And they're done like that. So we're going to come around here. We're going to create this one now. So we're going to click there. Follow it around. So just remembering that your clip art that you've put up for your artwork in general is just a guide. So it's up to you how precise you wish to make it. You can just use it as a general guide, or you can really take your time and match up your stitch to your artwork. There we go. So we'll zoom out. So we've got one up here to create, and then one over there as well. So we're going to come up here. We're going to create our next one. So click around. Like so. Until we get back to the beginning. Once we get back to the beginning, we're going to hit enter. And now we have our stitches formed. So we're going to zoom out and zoom in on that next one. We're going to create our stitches around the outside of this one using the right and left clicks of our mouse until we get back to the beginning. And enter. So now that we've done all those little line ones, the next step we have is our circles here. And we're going to create a satin circle with those. So we're going to start over here. We're going to come up here to our toolbar and we're going to select our oval shape. So circle oval. We want to come up to our top toolbar and make sure we've got it a fill, not a line. We're going to check that we've got satin selected, and this time we're going to scroll down where it says here auto split. We're going to turn that auto split off. So to create our circle, we want to put the mouse about in the center. We're going to hold down our left click on our mouse and we're going to drag our mouse out. So when we get to the stage of how big we want our circle, we just hold our mouse there. So see where you've got that little line? That indicates your angle that your stitches will come out on. So we want them to go that way, like so, and then we hit enter twice. Now we move on to our next one and repeat that process. So we find the center, hold down our mouse click and pull it out. And enter. Okay, so next one's up here. Create our satin circle. And again. Okay, so the last one we need to create is this one here in the pink. So we're going to go closed shape again. Check that we've got a fill selected. And we're just going to create that outline. And enter. And we're just going to leave that one like that because that's how we want that shape. Okay, so the next color we're going to work on is the orange. And we're going to start with our bird. So we're going to go closed, digitize closed shape with a fill. Check that we've got that all selected, and this time we're going to go orange. So we're going to start with his tail, because the tail and the body are behind the wing. So if we do those two first and then our wing over the top, that will give you dimension to your shape. So we're going to start with the little tail here. And we're going to start by creating a base stitch to start with. So we're going to just follow that outline. around his tail. And back to the beginning. Enter. So now we're going to go through and we want to cut out that little hole again. So we go over here to our resequencing, select on our tail, turn our stitches off so we can see our hole, select digitize hole, and create the outline of the hole. So when you finish creating that outline, because there's only one singular hole in here, we're going to hit enter twice, and that will cut out our hole. So now we're going to turn our stitches on, and we're going to check on where our finishing point is. So you can see here that our starting point is here, but our finishing point's right out here. But we don't want our finishing point out here, we want it in close to the body. So we're going to hover our mouse over it until you get the little crosshairs come up. Hold down your mouse and we're going to drag it down here. So it finishes in there now. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a jump stitch that goes from his tail here over to his body. So when you're stitching it out, it'll go through and it'll stitch all this area out, and we'll stitch, stitch, stitch over here and then start on his body. So you won't have it jumping all over the hoop and creating tie-offs and jump stitches and all that type of thing. So we're going to create his body out of the same stitch. So we click off everything so we don't have anything selected. We're going to create that little jump stitch across so we know now that it finishes there. So we're going to make an open line, a single line. We're going to start here. Okay, so the next step now is we want to create our outline for our little bird's tail. To create his body, we're going to close shape. We're going to check where and just follow that outline around. So we've got it down here, so we know it finishes there. So what we're going to do is we're going to create our satin border, and we're going to go up, around, curve around, and we're going to finish at the top here. So we need to turn our stitches off, and then we're going to cut back here so we can see and enter our pattern. So see how here we're going to create, Digitize created that run line. Check that we've got our satin, we wanted a fill stitch selected. What had happened is that we've got our fill selected, and check that we're still using so if we orange. Just click on our resequencing tool over here, we're going to start down here to fill stitch and work backwards. So we're going to work from the base, and that's not what I wanted to do, and head back up to the top of the tail. So work around that corner. over the top, and around to the base of the body. And enter. So we'll turn our stitches back on, zoom out so we can see. So the next step in the bird is to create that running stitch from the base of his tail up to his body. So we need to see where our last stitch finishes. So we're going to come up here, press reshaping, and we can see here that it finishes there. So we want to start our single run line from about here. Check we've got single run line selected and we're still in orange. We're going to start from here. So we're going to start from here and click up here and then enter. So now we're going to create our fill for our body. So we've got digitize close shape in a fill selection in satin, and we're going to start here. So now we're going to create the body of the bird. So we're going to select digitize close shape, fill, tatami stitch, and check that we've got our orange selected. So this is where our last stitch finished, so this is where we're going to start. And we're just going to work around our bird's body. We want to cut across the beak there because we will come back and make the beak out of a satin stitch later on. And then when we get down here, we're going to cut straight back up here because we don't need to worry about that because we're going to put our wing over the top. So we're going to hit enter. And now we're going to check where our stitch finished. Okay, so you can see here now that our stitch is finished right around near our beak, but we want it down here. So we're going to pick it up again and we're going to drag it down to the bottom of the bird. So when we start our outline now, we can start our outline down here and work backwards around the edge, and we won't need to make any unnecessary jump stitches. So we're going to turn our stitches off, select our digitized blocks, our satin stitch, and remember we're starting down the bottom here. And we're going to work backwards. So we're going to go back up around the way we just came. Nearly there. And then we're going to stop here. And enter. So we're going to turn our stitches back on so we can see what we created. And zoom out. So now we've got that satin borderline around our body. So we're going to check where our end of our satin stitch finished. So it should have finished here. So we're just double checking that so we know where we can start our next spot. So zoom in. So there we go. We can see it here. So we're just going to move him over to that side. Okay, so click off. So we've got nothing selected. We're going to turn our stitches off so we can see where our wing runs. We're going to select Digitize Close Shape, Fill, Tatami Stitch, and we've still got orange selected. So we're going to start up here and we're going to work ourselves around this wing. So what we're actually doing is we're creating dimension in our design with having the body sitting underneath the wing. Come up around here, make sure all those line up so they sit nicely next to each other, and enter when we're back to the beginning. So we'll turn our stitches on. Oop. And you can see the wing there. So the next step with the wing is to add our satin outline. So we'll turn the stitches off. Select reshape, select the wing, select reshape, and you'll see that we're finishing down here. So that's where we're going to start. So that's where our stitch finished from the underlay of the wing. We're then going to select our digitize block, check we've got a fill, and check we've got satin. So now we're going to start down here and work our way around. So we're coming up to our corner. We're going to bring this stitch now out to there, back on top of that one, up here and back again, so they'll create that nice clean corner at the base there of the wing, and then follow it back up around. So all the way back until we reach where we started from. So we've just gone over all those little lines through there, so all those little ends will be hidden by our outline, and they'll give you a nice clean finish to your pattern. So work that curve around. Remembering right clicks to create your curve, left clicks for your straight lines. Back to the beginning and enter. Turn our stitches on. And we're going to zoom out. So you can see now that all that area through there is all tidied up on our little bird. Okay, so now we're going to create his little beak. So we're digitizing closed shape, fill, and a satin stitch we're going to stay with this time. So we're just going to create a little triangle through here. For his beak, and enter. We want to select it, so we've pressed select, and the little pink box outlines come up, so we've got that selected. Now we're going to come over here to our object properties and we're going to change our stitching. So we select on stitching and we're going to change our angle. So we want to change the angle to 90 degrees. So we type in 90 and hit enter. Okay, so now you can see he's down here in his sequence, he's right at the bottom. So we're going to bring it up so he sits underneath the body of the bird. So we use these little keys down the bottom here to move our part of the design through your different sequencing. So we're going to move it up the sequence chain so it sits under like that. So now we've got his little beak in place. So the next thing to do is add his eye. We're going to go up here, we're going to create a circle in a satin stitch. And we're just going to create his little eye. So we're going to keep it in the same colour. So all we're doing is adding dimension to our shape. Okay, so now that we've finished our little birdie off, we can move on to our next shape. So we're going to go through and we're going to create our orange circles. So you've got a majority orange circles through here. So that's just continually working with the circle in a satin and in a fill and orange. So we're going to go through and create our circles around our pattern. You can go through and change your angle of your stitch with your satin circles if you like, or you can leave them different so each one looks slightly different and more of an individual look. So now we're going to create these little satin lines down here again. So change that one to our triple run line, digitize open line, and create the border around our little leaf shape that we've got here. And then we've got two circles up here as well. And we've got one more through here. So we've got digitize closed shape, fill, tatami stitch in orange. There we go. So now that we've got our pink and our orange finished, we've got one over here we forgot. Let's go back and finish him. Okay. Okay. So now what we're going to do is we're going to remove our overlay stitch through here. So what we do is we click on our wing, we come up here to where it says edit objects, and then we come down here and it says remove our overlay. So if you click on that, now you can see over here in the resequencing tool it's cut that out so you don't have those extra stitches. So you're removing that bulk on those. And so when you come through and do the green one, you'll need to do that for the heart as well. Don't worry about the line stitches because there's not a lot of actual stitching in those. It's more the heavier the stitching that's got the weave fills or the satin fill in them. So the next step now is just to go through and keep working that same process and finish off the green and the blue. So that's it for this tutorial. If you found this very interesting and were interested in some more that we have, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.